Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first video I'm uploading in 2025, aka another episode of TV Talk. So, for those who don't know what TV Talk is a series I do on my YouTube channel where I talk about episodes of TV shows over Halo gameplay. And at the end of every episode, I talk about scripture that correlates with the theme/message of the episode or the episode itself, if the episode doesn't have a message. So, what I'm going to talk about today is an episode of 101 Dalmatians the series. For context, 101 Dalmatians the series is a show that was made by Disney and aired from 1997 to 1998, based off of the 101 Dalmatians franchise and the novel that the franchise was based off of. The episode I'm going to talk about today is a two-segmented episode, but in this video, I will only be covering the first half of the episode because the second half does not hold any relevance. The episode is called Bad to the Bone. Now, before I start, if you haven't seen the show or the specific episode before, there will be spoilers. So I'll give you, the viewer, 10 seconds to click off this video and watch the show for yourself, which you can find on Disney Plus. The 10 seconds will start on ready, set, go. 9, 367, 2 million, 2025. Happy New Year. Wait, why? No, just move on. For people who have seen this episode before or who want to spoil themselves, time to talk about the episode. The episode starts out with Rolly digging in this swamp area and digs out a bone and is about to take it somewhere. When all of a sudden, this guy and these three other characters show up out of nowhere, commit petty theft by taking his bone, and harass him. Recognize this guy from the last episode of TV Talk? Meet this guy. I don't know his name. Well, I still don't know his name. So, for the sakes of compromise, I'm gonna call him Mr. Terrible. And you will soon find out why. Back to the episode. Rolly then explains that he had been saving that bone for some time and demands Mr. Terrible to return it instead of calling the authorities. Of course, Mr. Terrible responds by challenging Rolly to fight him to get his bone back and insulting Rolly.
Aw, come on, Mooch. I've been saving that bone for weeks. Give it back. If you want it back so bad, fight for it.
Wait, Mr. Terrible's real name is Mooch? That's a fitting name. But I'm still calling him Mr. Terrible because I think that name's more fitting. Plus, I like that name better. So moving on. As this happens, Lucky Catpig and this fourth protagonist, Spot, show up out of nowhere and tells Mr. Terrible and these three other characters that I don't know their names either to leave him alone. Mr. Terrible then makes fun of Rolly by calling him weak. Then Catpig responds with this.
Oh, he's not scared. He's just allergic to risk.
That's literally the same thing. Moving on. Lucky, Catpig, and Spot try defending Rolly and do a terrible job. Here's the evidence.
Rolly would rather sleep than fight. Yeah, if he weren't such a big creeper, he wouldn't be our Rolly. Yeah, I'm just a big... You know, I was right there with you till we got to that cream buff crack.
Yeah, way to defend him. Mr. Terrible then tells Rolly that even his friends think he's weak. When Rolly denies that statement, Mr. Terrible then dares Rolly to determine that he is not weak by making him enter into a snake pit that belongs to Sydney, a snake that is known to kill and eat dogs. What is this place they live in? And when Rolly enters the snake pit, he assumes he stumbles into Sydney, but it turns out to be just a piece of snakeskin. He then gets the idea to make everyone think that he's beating the crap out of Sydney. Wait a minute, the episode isn't over yet. Also, that never happens. What actually happens is Rolly just beats up the snake skin and make everyone think that he's beating up Sydney. When Rolly exits said snake pit, Mr. Terrible and the three other unnamed characters tell him that he isn't so weak after all, and that he's actually pretty tough. While Lucky, Catpick, and Spot tell him that what he did was not cool and was basically just assault. They then get disappointed and leave. As Rolly starts to question why his friends think this way, Mr. Terrible then tells Rolly that his friends don't know what they're talking about and offers Rolly to join his gang, along with giving him the nickname Snake Stomper. Stupid name if you ask me. And due to the fact that Rolly is easily manipulated, Rolly happily agrees, thinking he's finally part of something. It then transitions to everyone at the farm area talking about how Rolly can supposedly kill snakes and that he changed his name to Snake Stomper. Then Rolly is shown hanging out with Mr. Terrible's gang and Rolly having a tattoo and piercing. How? So Mr. Terrible convinces Rolly that gangs are cool and whatever, and that he has a good reputation, while Lucky, Catpick, and Spot tell him that he should not take part with these people. Then this happens.
What you are is a classic textbook bully. Clearly, your behavior is prompted by a need for pure acceptance based on low self-esteem.
I don't know what you said, but nobody talks that way to one of my gang.
Okay, let me be honest with you. I don't know what Catpick says like 25% of the time or agree with her 50% of the time, but at the same time, I do not believe what Mr. Terrible says ever. Spliced in between all this ridiculousness, Dumpling is shown to be walking in the swamp area, and then Sydney calls himself around Dumpling. Dumpling explains that she is collecting some mushrooms for Snake Stomper, and that if he doesn't obtain them, he will beat the crap out of Sydney. Sydney then goes to confront this Snake Stomper and expose him of his sham. Rolly is seen hanging out with Mr. Terrible's gang, and then Sydney stands in a threatening position. Then Rolly distinctly runs away because you knew that it was a sham that he could beat up snakes in the first place. And then everyone else runs away too. Sydney then tries to hunt down Rolly, and Sydney arrives at the Chow Tower and catches up to him.
Snake Stopper has a little confession to make.
Wait, Sydney's a guy? Moving on from that, Rolly asks his new friends for help, and those friends ditch him, letting him to die.
Booch! Too John! Help me!
Sorry, Snake Food, but you're on your own.
Wow, what tough individuals. Rolly then confesses his sham, and it turns out that Sydney doesn't kill Rolly, and the only reason why he was here was because he wanted to expose Rolly's sham, and exit Sydney. With Rolly now realizing his mistake, he asks his real friends if they can forgive him. His friends responded that it will take some time, but they accept it. They also tell him that they liked him just the way he is. And the episode ends. You know, this episode kind of reminds me of a song by Leanna Crawford called Crazy Beautiful You. If you want to listen to the song, you can check out the link in the description. She's a cool artist, you should check her out. Which is why the moral I can draw from the segment is be yourself. There's actually a verse that, in a way, connects very closely with this episode. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Psalm 139:14. In the episode, Rolly was just doing whatever, and then Mr. Terrible started being mean and insulting him. And when Mr. Terrible pole vaulted over the line of Rolly's feelings, at that point, Rolly thought the only way for people to like him is to make people think that he was someone he was not. And when he managed to do so, due to the fact that he's easily manipulated, he joins a group of criminals and thought it was completely fine. But while all of this was occurring, he forgot about the friends who genuinely cared about him. So please remember, trust the Lord to help you keep your sense of self, even in the hard times. Thank you all so much for watching, especially because I enjoy making this series and I can't wait to continue it. And as said, thank you all for watching, and remember, may God be with you and be blessed by Him.